State of New California. Notice to all Californians. Chapter 2, Grievance 51. April 13th, 2021. New California is a new state in development exercising its constitutional right to form from the state of California. The process to form New California is authorized and codified in Article 4, Sections 3 and 4 of the United States Constitution. Statement of intent. The citizens of New California have decided to remedy the abuse of power by the government of California by exercising their right to form a new state, provided in United States Constitution Article 4, Sections 3 and 4. Quote, "We are determined to live under a state government in the United States of America and under the Constitution of the United States," end quote. New California Declaration of Independence of January 15, 2018 states, quote, "Whenever any form of government becomes destructive, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. When a long train of abuses and acts to seize and hold the people's power without legal authority and pursuing invariably the same object that clearly demonstrates a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security." The preamble of the new California State Constitution states, "We, the representatives of the undersigned counties within the state of California, do acknowledge and humbly invoke the favor of Almighty God for continued civil and religious liberty to ourselves and our posterity." The First Amendment of the United States Constitution states, quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances," end quote. The Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." The counties of New California State brought forward 95 Chapter 1 grievances between January 2018 and November 2019. On April 28, 2020, New California State will issue 95 additional Chapter 2 grievances to be announced in public on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. State of New California, Grievance number 51. Declaration of Grievance, Statement of Facts. The people of California are suffering from a tyrannical state government which fails to provide a republican form of governance, enables and supports across its southern border the invasion of the United States of America by illegal foreign nationals, and protects vicious criminals who commit outrageous acts of violence upon the citizens of America, all caused by a government of and for a mono-party system led by a tyrannical dictator who openly defies federal law. California state government violates the following: United States Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, quote, "The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature, or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence," end quote. United States Constitution, Article 6. "This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding." The First Amendment, United States Constitution, quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances," end quote. The 14th Amendment of the United States, Section 3. "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as any executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such a disability. Order of the day. The end of California's elections. A proposal to change some rules for future recall petitions cleared its first hurdle in the state legislature Monday. The bill won't affect the current recall process against Governor Gavin Newsom. If passed, the rule changes would go into effect in 2021. Wait, isn't this 2021? Quote, "This is a dangerous and reckless bill," end quote, stated one recall supporter. Quote, "I think it's really important that we maintain this process, even though this won't affect the Newsom recall. It will affect all future recalls, which is why it's really important to stop this bill from going forward," end quote. So what is this process? From Cal Matters. Before the state holds its primary election in 2022, it has to give candidates the opportunity to file to run. Before that, it has to create district maps so that those candidates know who and what they'll actually be running to represent. And before those maps can be finalized, the public has to be given an opportunity to weigh in. Then the state has to get the population data from the census count. And there's the problem. California's next primary election is set for June 7th, 2022, and the 2020 census data, the first step, extremely late, partly due to the pandemic. California can expect some preliminary information to trickle in later this month. That will let us know, for example, whether we as a state are due to lose at least one of 53 congressional seats, as is widely expected. But the more granular data needed to start map making won't arrive until around August. The data wizards hired by the state will need another month to clean it up and, among other details, figure out where to place the prison inmates. That means the state's independent commission tasked with drawing California's congressional and legislative maps won't get the information they need until September at the earliest, nor will local election officials who carve up the turf for city council and water district races. Max Redroad, a political consultant, said, "Based on the current schedule, there's no way we can do a June primary," end quote. Freddie Seha, California Citizens Redistricting Committee, quote, "If we're still looking at a December deadline for candidate filing, that's not going to happen," end quote. So what will happen? No one knows yet. Delaying the primary would require an act by legislature, and no one has announced plans to do that. But there's agreement among redistricting experts that something has to give. And lest we forget, Governor Gavin Newsom will likely face a recall election later this year. Meanwhile, 9 county registrars have announced that they're retiring since November. Kim Alexander, president of the California Voter Foundation, quote, "It is a perfect storm. Just about every election official in the state is freaking out about this," end quote. Kathy Darling Allen, Shasta County registrar, quote, "I think I need an election ferry," end quote. From Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, quote, "The special interests that control Newsom also own our legislature, and they've perfected a sham legislative process. The Assembly has gone so far as to eliminate the basic requirement that bills get voted on. To kill a bill they don't like, all lobbyists have to do is tell the committee chair to cancel the vote. This now happens routinely with bills of duly elected legislators in both parties. And new methods are devised every year to exclude the public. Last year, the Assembly even tried to get rid of public testimony on bills, only backing down when I introduced a resolution to stop it. The state also aids and abets voter suppression by special interests themselves. In 2010, a powerful union tried to suddenly collect dues from 5,000 farm workers in Fresno. When the workers organized a decertification vote, the union began a harassment campaign that included home visits and physical threats. After the vote, the union had the state's corrupt labor board, stacked with appointees of the governor, impound the ballots. The votes were only counted 5 years later when the California Supreme Court ruled the workers had been, quote, unnecessarily disenfranchised. 83% had voted to reject the union. Unsurprisingly, suppression has been Newsom's chosen weapon against the recall. His allies candidly admitted their strategy was, quote, all about reducing signatures, end quote, and referred to signature sheets as, quote, poisonous petitions, end quote. His spokesman falsely claimed the recall was a, quote, refusal to play by the rules, end quote. His top surrogates held an event branding it the, quote, California coup, end quote, which the LA Times said, quote, undermined the state's legitimate direct democracy system, end quote. Even more jarring, Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Christine, herself a top party strategist, recently revealed a plan to suppress the entire election. If Newsom is polling poorly in the fall, she told Politico, quote, it may be that no Democrat could win. Then he should step down as governor, and the lieutenant governor should be the governor, and they should cancel the election. In that case, the Democratic Party would retain the governorship, end quote. The effect of this voter suppression is to make the rich richer, the poor poorer, and change harder. It's a corrupt system designed by and for well-connected people like Gavin Newsom, who became a county supervisor through the patronage of the Gettys, became mayor of San Francisco through the patronage of PG&E, and became governor of California through the patronage of the CTA and other unions. It's 2021, and the governor is a dictator who can set the terms for any election. New Californians are experiencing the, quote, failed state environment, end quote. We must not wait to pick up the pieces, but rather position ourselves for what we know is coming. California is headed for collapse as a state in just a few short months, as its trajectory is now set in stone by a pusillanimous, craven dictator who chooses to violate both federal and state laws while ignoring the original Constitution structure set forth by the founding fathers of the United States. Insurrection. The government of California, the current socialist governor-dictator and monoparty system, along with local officials, are following a coordinated design with the intent to actively engage in acts of insurrection against the U.S. Constitution. The Insurrection Act of 1807 and the Emergency Economic Powers Act are United States federal laws that govern the ability of the President of the United States to deploy military troops within the United States to put down lawlessness, insurrection, and rebellion, acts of secession. The California government, in conjunction with the socialist state executive, instituted wherever the current socialist governor-dictator has usurped power, has actively engaged in acts of secession and have created a reign of terror on the United States citizens living in California with the intent to secede from the United States of America, to destroy the very union of states which secures our liberty and freedom. Abdication of authority. Betrayal by the sitting socialist governor-dictator of California, the monoparty legislature, and the local elected officials is evidence of abdication of their responsibilities of authority and sovereignty over the citizens of the United States living in California. Prayer. The citizens of New California State pray for the military to exercise its authority under continuity of government and the Insurrection Act of 1807, to initiate the military's use of martial law and create the restored government of California as requested by New California State, to end the tyranny being foisted upon the United States of America. This concludes these proceedings. NewCaliforniaState.com or NCS51.com, phone number 877-828-5255. 2753.